Yo, 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 what's up, y'all? It's your boy Big Mike in the house. Swish for real. I got my homie, my co-host, my buddy, Boogie Bob in the building. Boogie, what's up with you, man?
Swish for real.
Swish for real. How you been? How you been, man? How things going on your side of the planet?
I've been nice cold weather, grab a blanket, get an extra nap in the afternoon, get up, do some work, go to bed early, sleep in late. Boy, this cold weather is great. Doesn't feel like a bear, like a polar bear, been hibernating.
Man, I wish I could do that, but I will probably start doing it now since my young grandson is about to leave tomorrow. We taking them to their new home in Oklahoma, so they're gonna be living out there for a while. So it's been fun having them, but it's gonna be sad when he goes. But since they're so close, we'll get to see them a little bit more often.
So, how's life been in your world?
Man, coming back from Bahamas, it's been pretty cool. Had a great time chilling, getting on those paddle boards, on a cruise, white sandy beaches. It was crazy. It was fun. I had such a great time. I can't wait to go back to some. I don't know where I want to go next. I think I want to go to Japan for whatever reason, but so much fun in the Bahamas. But
Yeah,
around here things
I've
been
been
pretty
to the
special.
Bahamas, Nassau, and
Yeah,
Paradise Island.
uh,
So did you find much vegan food there? Because I know most of those cruise ships, they have like smorgasbord of everything.
yeah. Well, it was mainly my wife who was doing the vegan thing. I'm vegetarian, so she's the vegan. So yeah, they had a lot of options, and her palate is so, I guess, exquisite when it comes to things she likes. So it was kind of hard for her to really enjoy the food. But I'm like, I mean, it's they're cooking for thousands of people, so hopefully, you'll find something you like.
And how's your daughter's business going?
So far so good. She's kind of slow right now, but she got to keep grinding. Yeah, once she gets to grinding, I think that things will pick up for her. But other than that, it's pretty slow.
So for our audience, mention her YouTube channel and what she does.
Sanaya is now she does nails. Her YouTube channel is Sanaya Saniya Lampkin, and you can check her out. She's always talking food and stuff like that. She loves to cook, so but she's a nail tech now, and that she's actually been doing a pretty decent job of doing nails. I don't get mine done, but whoever gets nails done by her is going to be amazed. But you can always check. I don't know exactly what her Instagram is. I think it's poetically polished, I believe. Poetically polished. You can look that up and send her a shout out, man. Let her know that her pop sent her over there from Swish for real. And thanks to Bob for bringing it up, man. Other than that, man, everything's groovy, man. I know you had an opportunity to watch the Mavs lately, and what's been going on with Anthony Davis. He's been playing a couple of games back to back, and he's been looking good. But this previous game, they're playing. Today's Friday, so they'll be playing Oklahoma tonight on December the 5th. Hopefully, once we get done with the podcast, we'll be able to give you guys some updates on what's going on with the game. But Anthony Davis, with the future of the Mavs, Bob, it looks like he's trying to be a mainstay. I think he's a benefit for the team in some aspect if he's healthy. What are your thoughts on his future with the Mavs, and what do you think you see him going if he's traded before the deadline?
Street clothes, as we call him in Dallas. He spends more time in street clothes than in a uniform, no matter what team he's playing. Uh, there's no denying the talent, uh, but if you hold on to him much longer, it's just. I wrote down the first thing. I changed it up, like as far as what he could do to in the championship window, that ship has sailed. That he can help the youngins, but you got some other veterans like PJ that can help. But as far as using him to win a championship, to me that ship sailed and he's trade bait. Uh, it would be nice to recover some draft capital. So he's just got one of those contracts. And we'll talk about another player who's got a huge contract later, but
Hmm.
he's got one of those contracts it's an albatross for 3 years, and he'll be 36 by the time that comes off the books. And uh, you know, I think he's better at the center than he is a four, even though he wants to play a four. Uh, but he's an old school four. He's not a stretch four. And
Mm.
I- when I watched him and he plays the four when Gafford and when Lively was playing, his rebound numbers were down. Uh, his scoring, I mean, he can create his own shot. He's got a great mid range, but there's no denying his talent. I just think that it's wrong timing, wrong. If Kyrie was there, and one of our earlier podcasts when we were predicting the West, I said the Mavs would be play in. So even even with them winning three in a row, they're struggling. They even get to the play in. But if he's not traded, the Mavs at best are a lower seed, playoff seed. Uh, and in regards to the big contract that I was talking about, he's underperforming the value. I'm not saying his numbers aren't good. He's averaging like 25 and 10, but when you're paying somebody or get ready to pay somebody 60 million a year, uh, Julius Randle's not getting 60 million a year, and that's basically uh, a younger version of what you got with AD a little bit. Uh, just, I think for the contract, he's underperforming. The value you're getting back is it's just not there. But they're right now they can't make any moves until January 5th because they're on the second apron. Uh, I read that the other day.
Mm.
Dante Exum's out for the year and he's on a 1 year contract. So uh, I expect that they'll go ahead and waive his and get his roster spot, and that's when Ryan Nebhart uh, will get converted from a two-way to a full contract.
Yeah. And if you look at what Dallas has been doing as a team, man, they've have played 18 clutch game, and that's like saying five points or less has separated them from a win.
Yeah,
So
the
that
NBA needs to redefine that because when you say clutch game and they say 5 points or less with 5 minutes to go in a game, 5 points
mm,
is just a possession of stopping another possession. So I think they ought to redefine that to within one possession in the last 30 seconds of a game because five 5 minutes, 5 minute overtime, you see teams go on a 20-2 run or 20 to nothing run. I'm like, really seriously, you want a like 5 point spread within 5 minutes? The game don't A lot of people don't tune into an NBA game to the last 2 minutes anyhow. But be that as it may, the clutch game just proves that they don't have a closer without Kyrie. They don't or Luca. They don't have that closer that uh, I don't know if you watched the game the other night, but Cooper Flagg was talking about how much easier it was to get his shot because AD had gravity.
hmm
So it depends how teams playing, but he has some gravity, but you, you don't have that quintessential closer that when you got to get a bucket, you got a guy you can go to get a bucket.
So what are your thoughts on his performance against talking about AD when he played against Denver?
He did his job, and basically, I mean, Joker had out the wazoo stats that night, but AD, basically neutralized that. Didn't he have like 32 points and 13 or 14, 15 rebounds, a couple blocks?
I believe he
Basically,
had 20 rebounds for I believe it was Joker that game.
yeah. So he basically matched Joker for stat, which allowed the game to be decided by other players.
So
But
with him being, I'm speaking of AD, playing for his third team, do you think he would feel comfortable coming off the bench if he stays with Dallas, or is it that his contract has too much money for him to even consider that?
If you bring him off the bench, but I mean, I see it with Clay, but Clay's contract isn't quite the same. He signed that extension in New Orleans and raised a ruckus to get traded to the Lakers. You you got to have AD on the court somewhere. So it's just a question of, does PJ Washington get knocked off so Cooper can start, or does Gafford or Lively get knocked off the starting lineup so AD can start? They're fine. Since Nebhart's taken over the point guard, they found a good mix there, and it opens up the court for Cooper to do what he's good at, which is create a shot in open space. But yeah, I know you like B. Will. I know you like Brandon Williams, and he does have some speed. But if Brandon Williams is your starting point guard, that's not a championship team. I mean, he can service, but if he's your backup point guard or he's your guy that can start when someone else is injured, that's Brandon Williams' role on a championship team. But Nebhart, even though he's small, his brother, a little bigger, but his brother played in the finals last year,
Yeah, he did for Indiana. So
and he's
you think
pretty good.
with having Nimhart playing for Dallas, does that make AD's job a little bit better? Because I mean, I agree. Nimhart's been playing like he wants that starting position. Not saying that B Will can't take it back, but I don't know how that's going to be possible for B Will. But having Nimhart as that point guard, has it improved AD's ability to become more of what he was when he was playing with the Lakers in their championship year?
Yeah, what I've said before is it don't matter how good your big man is if you don't have a point guard getting the ball.
Yeah.
And so he can create his own shot, but he's not having to work hard. So he can go down in the block or go up high on the elbow and get to his comfortable position and not have to fight to get there. So if someone else is doing the work to get it to him. I don't know if you've really tuned in, but the pick and roll between the two of them or Cooper coming off the weak side, it's like that's a triple header there.
The
So
only thing I miss, as far as what you're saying with the pick and roll, is the lob threat. I don't see any lob threats like we used to have. I mean, we still
well,
have the lob.
that was a Luca trait.
Yeah.
I mean, Kyrie would throw a few, but that was a Luca thing. That's the problem with this roster. It's built around a guy or a player that you don't have anymore, or the same kind of talent. So they gotta move players around that will fit Max Christie and Nebhart and Cooper Flagg. The It's a talent mismatch more than it is an age mismatch. But uh, I mean, AD is solid if you got him around the top of the key or the elbow or the dunker spot or even the old Dirk Nowitzki spot over there on that where his silhouette is. So that's where that's where Nebhart is helped because AD don't have to fight as hard to get there. And the thing is, he's had one turnover in the last two starts.
Hmm. And the last question on this one, as far as AD goes, if he is to be moved, what team? You can pick a couple, but what teams will you think will benefit by having AD? Do you think he can go back to the Lakers, Chicago, Milwaukee? Because there's a lot of places you can land.
Well, there's two factors come into play. One is team that trades for him has to have either comparable salary
Hmm.
or the space to be able to take on his salary. So the
Hmm.
Mavericks can't have more salary sent back because of the apron uh, than they take. So that's going to limit the number of teams. The other factor is teams that think they're one player away from a championship, and so now you're down to maybe four or five teams. Uh, unless you find some team that just wants to trade straight up one broken piece for another, like a Zion Williamson, one flat tire for another, but younger. Uh, and for the fans listening, I know everybody's like trading for Giannis. You're not getting Giannis for AD. That ain't happening. Uh, you'll be lucky if you get one first round draft pick. If you really if they're not going to make a move with AD till they get a new GM, which may not be till when Kyrie comes back. So
You don't think Michael Finley or the other guy's going to be maybe the next GM?
uh, think about it. What if someone's going to come in and be the GM that isn't Michael Finley or Riccardi? Then they're going to want to make their own moves and shape it. It's kind of like hiring a head coach and you say, "Here's your quarterback."
Sound like Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. So uh, I I think it's going to be after they hire GM, because if you trade AD and the other GM comes in, they're going to go, well, your biggest trade piece you already shipped off, and so that may be a factor on who they interview. Like, think about Chicago. They traded Laurie Markkinen to Cleveland, and Cleveland traded him to uh, Utah. So you're looking for some player like that that's doing an extension, but is overperforming the value of their contract.
Mhm.
Uh, draft picks, draft picks are going to help, but there's the people that have salary cap are not going to take on $50 million and then 60, then $70 million contract. Just you know, you look at Boston. Boston is just now in the play-in. They're at the bottom of the standings. I don't know if you look at the East, but it's flipped upside down. The Knicks are fighting to be in the fourth spot. Orlando's up there. I mean, Milwaukee, Indiana, Boston, they're all down there in the 8 through 10, 11 spot.
But
So,
if you think about the East has always been kind of a suspect conference, in my opinion.
yeah, but the top teams with top talent that we expected to be in the top four are not.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, they lost one of their key players. Well, two of the key players.
Yeah, they let Horford go. They traded KP and they traded Drew Holiday. They're
Mhm.
not going to be willing to take on salary. Uh, you're and the Knicks have already spent their draft capital, but the Knicks would be interested in AD. I don't know if AD and Cat uh, play well together. I mean, because Cat's basically a 4 and a 5's body, and AD's basically a 5 and a 4's body. So, if you look at a team where they have a fit, help put them over the edge. But I've heard a lot of talk about Brunson isn't the kind of guard that AD flourishes with.
Mm, yeah.
So, and if Chicago is in the mix, then they got to give up their point guard, Kobe White. So then they don't have the point guard to make AD prosper.
Yeah, make a success for sure.
Yeah.
23 games into the season, Cooper Flagg has won finally Rookie of the Month. And he's on a pace to average about 22 points a game. Is he the real deal? Is he something that the Mavs kind of hope for once we lost Luca? And what's his future as far as his abilities? Can he become that superstar? Or is he just kind of a figment of our imagination? He's just doing things basically because he has a great surrounding cast.
Uh, I'll say this, and I get a lot of pushback on this. It's like with me, he doesn't pass the eye test. He's growing. He's one of those players that grows on you. I even had this discussion with a couple head coaches at the Hoop Fest. And one guy's like, "How can you not see him? He's a generational talent." I'm like, "That's the most overused uh, phrase in all sports." But he he this guy that pushed back that was a coach, uh, he thought that the shrimp uh, with better defense. That's the kind of
Mm.
player he saw. And I started thinking, I was like, he's more like Sam Perkins. Uh, so Sam
He's
Perkins.
quicker than Sam Perkins, though.
Sam Perkins wasn't bad. He could play small forward and power forward. He could play some center. He was on the Laker team that went to the finals. I think he's on that Seattle team that went to the finals. Uh, but as far as talent goes, he's very similar numbers wise to Perkins. I just the reason for me that nothing unless he's just one of those guys where he's moving fast, but it doesn't look like he's moving fast. I noticed the
Mm.
other day he's got a long stride, so people with long strides don't necessarily look like they're moving fast. Uh, he's great in the open court. That's what I've noticed. But the things I think it's going to take more viewing before I can say he's a real deal. When I saw Luca, it's like you knew right away. But he had played 3 years in Euro with
Yeah,
with NBA veterans and older guys.
around that. Yeah.
Uh, but here's what I've noticed: he's lacking lateral speed, and teams are exposing that. So at the power forward, he's fine. He's got enough lateral speed. At small forward, he's PJ is a little bit better. Where Cooper is got the weak side help, but I just don't. I see him lacking lateral speed. His first step to me, it looks like it's slow. He has trouble beating fast defenders. If you notice, and
Hmm.
Dirk had this problem too when they put a smaller guy on Dirk until Dirk learned to just shoot over him. Uh,
Yeah.
Cooper, Dirk wasn't. Dirk could beat you with the first step, but it wasn't from speed. It was from footwork and placement and where he pinned you, whether it was on his hip or not. So if Cooper develops that, but he doesn't really have the first step speed to blow by you. He uh he goes to his reverse dribble, which is quite good, but it's too predictable. If you
Mm.
remember there was a couple years there where Dirk would go to the spin move and there would be a defender waiting on it, sitting on that reverse spin dribble, and they would pick Dirk's pocket. Uh, so he's got to be it's a good move, but when you use it too much, the NBA is going to have film on you, and they're going to set on that move. Uh, the areas now, just he didn't turn 19 for 3 more weeks, so
Mm.
we're basically talking about a senior in high school, you know.
Yeah, basically.
Uh, but the
First
areas I
across the
think
campus.
he needs to improve to become that real deal, that superstar. He needs to improve his handles. Uh, he's good at getting to where he wants to go, but when I'm talking about improving his handles, is it needs to be tightened up. He's got a nice crossover. He's got a nice behind the back. You may have seen that move in open court the other day. He had a behind the
Quite a
back.
few times this season.
Yeah. So he's got him, but he needs to tighten it up a little bit because in traffic those moves won't work. Uh, he's been making shots with the left hand, and the announcers are brag, but I think he needs to work on that left hand a little more. Like that
Mm.
pivot move, it Duncan could, he liked to Duncan liked to go over Tim Duncan liked to go over his right shoulder, but he developed going over his left shoulder so the defender couldn't set on it. And so I
Mm.
think Cooper needs to work on his and he needs to work on his rebounding. I mean, he gets some defensive rebounds and he hustles like crazy and gets some offense, but he's like 5 or 6 rebounds a game. You
Mm.
you need 8, 9, maybe up to 10 rebounds a game as a power forward.
To be the real deal, yeah.
To be the real deal. Uh, and most players coming out of college, there's very few. Tyrese Maxey was one of them. That's because he practiced 3 point. But most people, 18, 19, 1 year college, they don't really have a 3 point shot. They can shoot it, but you can tell that they haven't fully developed their muscles. They may have the form, but that distance, that extra distance over college, is just enough. If you remember, Brunson didn't hit many 3-pointers when he came in. It wasn't until like his third, fourth year that he hit the NBA 3-pointer with consistency. So in off season, Cooper needs to add some muscle and really work. He's worked on his shot. There was a video about he used to have his legs real spread, and he used to have his elbow out instead of his elbow in. So he's worked on form, but that's just a function of leg strength and arm strength and just growing older. So those are the things I think he needs to work on. As here's the things I think he's good at. He's good in open space. I mean, how many dunks you see him take the rebound and go coast to coast? And there'll be defenders back. So, there's very few players that can do that. He's he's really good on weak side defense, on helping cover the other guy. And he kind of leaves his guy in a wide open spot. But you see him get a lot of blocks. They're from the weak side. Uh, he's got a decent mid range game. And then probably his best quality, he's got a high IQ, very high IQ. So he's going to get better. Uh,
Yeah.
but speed, quickness, lateral ability, those are hard to improve. You either have them or you don't. So it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a slam dunk for him to get Rookie of the Year. Con Kneppel in Carolina and VJ Edgecombe in Philly. Uh, they're going to give him some competition.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question though. Does he, I don't know if you agree or disagree, or I just want to hear your opinion on it. How much in percentage wise has he filled the spot in for what is missing with Luca? If you had to do from 100% to 0%, what percentage, 100 being the best, what percentage has Cooper Flag filled in for Luca?
First 10 games, probably 0%. The
Mm,
last 6 or 7 games when Kid finally moved him to his natural spot, uh, probably 20%.
mm,
So when he's in his natural position where he can be just Cooper and he's not having to think so much, I mean, you being a coach know this. If a player has to think, that they've already lost the game. When it comes natural to them, they don't have to think. They're going to be a lot faster processing. So since they've had a point guard, whether it's B Will or Nebhard at point guard,
hmm.
he's flourished a lot more. So I said 20%, but you're talking about a guy this year. Luca's averaging almost 40 a game. Uh, you know, fat out of shape as they called him. Management called him. He was averaging 28 a game, and the year they went to the finals, he averaged 35 a game. 35 a game is hard to do. So if you got 80 averaging 20, and you got Cooper averaging 20, then you got 45 points there. That's you got two players basically replacing the scoring of one. Uh, if they can hold on to when Kyrie gets there, as I said in the very several shows back, remember to subscribe. Swish for real. It's up here. Uh, I said if they were 500 when Kyrie comes back, basically 26 and 26, figuring around
Mm,
January or so, they would have to go 20 and 10 just to get the 46 wins.
mm,
And they're 10. What was 10 games under 500 right now?
I think so. Do you think with them having a point guard helps Cooper as far as his maturation goes?
Absolutely.
What else could he improve on besides all the things you described? Do you think his ability to read the floor offensively has improved?
Uh, when he's in his natural position, yeah. I mean, you see it come naturally to him. He's a great cutter. And with AD, he's had a lot of open space, so you see him even without the cut, he's able to beat his man off of 1, 2 dribbles and then go up either for pull up or go in for the dunk. So
Yeah.
I the the I think it's more a question of what do you do with PJ? If you keep
Yeah.
AD, then Cooper is going to start next. And it's like if one of the two centers is healthy, it's like what do you do with PJ?
Yeah. And currently the Mavs are sitting at 8-15, which is not bad. So they're looking a lot better than what they did when they started the season when Kid had to do that science project putting Cooper at the point guard position.
Well, it did help him in the sense that it made him realize how fast NBA players are, and it didn't make him realize that, the dribbling that worked in college or high school doesn't work in the pros. Uh,
Yeah.
so I think it gave him a viewpoint of it. He did that with Giannis, but Giannis I don't know how many years Giannis has been playing, but Giannis a lot of times they put 4 players across the foul line, and they just dare him to shoot outside. Giannis's game's all built on kid using him as a point guard, and he's like, go to the hole and dunk it, get in the dunker spot, dunk it. You don't see Giannis taking many mid range, and you very rarely see him take 3 pointers.
Yeah. He
See,
make them though.
so I've said from the beginning, AK-47 is kind of what I see, but
Mhm.
I thought of a player the other day. He's a little bigger. But if offensively, if he could become Carmelo Anthony, then you got something.
Carmelo Anthony. I can see that. To me,
I'm
I
just
know.
talking about all around offensive game because
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
got
yeah.
the defensive game. Uh, right now, he's kind of a version of an Amari Stoudemire, a few inches shorter.
I, as far as skill wise, he kind of reminds me of Latrell Sprewell. Besides the athleticism, well, both of them pretty athletic, but Latrell Sprewell kind of have that game that Cooper sees Latrell and Cooper for whatever reason. So And speaking of Giannis, he's been in the news a lot lately. He's been really, really frustrated with Milwaukee. And now he had a sit down with ownership saying, things are not panning out the way I thought. You're not building a team around me. You keep trading these players. The people get hurt. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing right now because right now Giannis is injured. Where do you see him going? What's the next move for him? Milwaukee is in they're in a quandary right now, and what are they going to do with this situation with Giannis?
The only team in worse shape with salary cap and older players is the Clippers, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Uh, I I think he stays in Milwaukee for 2 reasons. European players, the first team they play for when they come to America, that's home to them. Second reason is he's got one of those contracts that,
he has a supermax, doesn't he?
yeah, it's like 245, 250 million over 5 years. Uh, that's going to be hard to trade, and I think he's in the first year of that, but first or second year. So they stretched Drew Holiday's no, Damian Lillard, excuse me. They stretched Damian Lillard's big contract over several years. So cap wise, Milwaukee's in they're 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 hurting. And he traded Chris Middleton, one of his 3-point shooters when they won the finals and they beat Phoenix. Uh, so I don't blame him for being upset. It's kind of like LeBron's like, hey, I just took you to the finals and you're all not adding pieces around that can help me, so I'm going to Miami.
Yeah,
Uh, but that money, that contract, it's going to be hard to trade. You're not going to get value back.
With him being injured, does that kind of, I guess, tarnish his trade value a bit?
No, I mean, it's the most, in my opinion, it's the most overstated. It's like saying AD's injured, they can't trade him. Talent is talent. If it's not available, uh, no big deal. And Mavs signed Wesley Matthews coming off a torn Achilles. He wasn't going to play for a year. Brooklyn signed KD a torn Achilles. He wasn't going to play for a year. Golden State extended uh, Thompson uh, after he blew out his ACL and getting back, then he tore his Achilles. So they paid him 2 years. So I think teams recognize talent, whether currently injured, they'll take that. You know, you may be talking 10 or 20 games, but if you're looking long term, uh, okay, it's the difference between maybe one extra first round pick, you get an extra second round pick, but it it it's not appreciably going to change his uh, value. I think the type. I don't know if his last contract has a no trade clause. I think it takes 10 years to get a no trade clause. Uh, Kobe was one of the first to get it, and then Dirk got one, but like his fourth contract. Now you can get it earlier. I don't
Mm,
know. I don't know if Giannis has a no trade. Uh, but regardless, it's got to be a team where he sees that the pieces that fit his game are already there.
right. And being at age 30, and he's going to be 31 tomorrow to be exact. His birthday is December the 6th. So he'll be 31 tomorrow. Does that play a factor on teams keeping him? Because look at LeBron, he's 40, but he's kind of slowing down a bit at that age. But how many more years do you think Giannis has as far as being about to turn 31?
He's got more years than Anthony Davis has. Uh, he's at the peak of his career. So a team that would benefit the most are players that have played already at least one all-star that's within a year or two of his age. I think Kyrie's what, 34, 33, 34,
Somewhere around there.
and AD's like a year younger. Uh, but if you can imagine if they could just trade AD for Giannis straight up, not even draft picks. Now you got a guy that's younger, and you got Cooper on one wing and Giannis on the other, and then one of the two uh, Smash Brothers. Yeah,
Lively or Gafford.
yeah. And hey, Dwight Powell's been playing good as a backup center, and Musa Musa Cisse's done pretty good. He's on a
Yeah,
two-way.
surprisingly, yeah.
But if your two wing players were Giannis and Cooper, and PJ coming off the bench with Clay Thompson, and Kyrie coming back with Nebhart and B Will there, now you got a mix that's at least opens up the window a little longer, and you can kind of stomach that big contract. It's just like, why would Milwaukee want Anthony Davis?
That would be the question. Will they take him? Because I mean, you you're swapping a little bit less of an injury prone person because
Well, his contract is shorter than Giannis, so it's not, that's not a today trade. That's a 2 3 years from now. We have enough salary uh, to rebuild.
now if they can get Milwaukee to restructure the contract, I mean, that'll be a good idea for teams to probably play with the trade bait.
Yeah, you don't see many restructured contracts in the NBA.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any other thing you want to add to Giannis topic?
Uh, they're on the second apron, which I mentioned they were in cap trouble, and that's going to make it even harder to trade him.
Mm,
You think about, they had between Lillard and him, the contracts were almost or over 100 million for just the two players. And speaking of injury, you ask about injury. Portland didn't hesitate paying Damian Lillard big money, even though they know he's not going to play for a year.
Yeah, but they just doing him a solid because he's a hometown kid, and so they wanted to just kind of show him the respect that he deserves as far as being the face of that franchise for so many years.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to hear speculation: Denver, uh, Lakers, Dallas. But it's just like
Portland,
when he signed that contract, Giannis. I don't think Giannis is going anywhere.
yeah, sounds like he's going to be still in Miami. I mean, not Miami, Milwaukee. So, hey, happy birthday to you, man! If you ever see this video, so tomorrow is your birthday, December 6th. So, salute to you, brother. Alrighty, man. This next guy we're going to talk about, man, he took the Golden State Warriors far. He built the team that they have now. Well, some of the pieces, a lot of the pieces are gone now that he built. But he had a great career himself too, playing for Indiana and giving Chicago fits, giving New York fits, and then he also played for New York for a little bit of time. The person I'm talking about is Mama. There goes that man. We're talking about Mark Jackson, the commentator a lot of you guys see on NBA. Some NBA games that you may watch, he's always there. He's been in the finals as far as commentating the games. He's had a pretty decent career, in my opinion. You have to go back and look at the stats, and Bob probably going to bring those stats to you. But let's kind of do a deep dive on Mr. Mark Jackson.
Yeah. So before I get into stats, I usually like to talk a little bit about the player. He's famous as an announcer, as you said. He did the NBA Finals with Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy. And the new Chime commercial, he's in the Chime commercial. But
Yep.
he's known as Hand Down,
Man.
Man Down. Yeah, and he's also known for Mama, there goes that man. And he's also known for good defense, better offense.
I didn't know that was him.
Yeah, yeah. Mike Breen always said bang when
Dang.
when he hit a three, and that's because there's a 6-second delay between the audio and the video when it's shown. So he already knows they made the shot when he says that. But uh, tapping into what you said, when he was the Golden State Warriors coach, they, Nelly had been there previously, and they were run and gun, just run and gun, track meet. He instilled defense as a mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And, Steve Kerr gets a lot of credit, but that team, he got them to play defense. Now he got fired, but he changed their mentality. I won't say culture, but he changed their mentality of if you don't play defense, you're not going to play for me.
Mm.
And, he inherited Monte Ellis and they traded Monte Ellis.
To
Now,
Dallas.
that's when Curry started. They also traded to get Iguodala, who had been moved from Philly to Denver. Uh, and if you remember, Iguodala was starting when they had Draymond Green, and when Draymond Green, Steve Kerr put him in the starting lineup. But those four guys, along with I can see his face, but I can't think of his name. He was on the early championship teams. Uh, he was second string, but anyhow, he was a great defensive player. And the thing is, you can play defense, but if you can't score, you still have to outscore your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Players that he turned into defensive mentality already knew how to score. Clay was already there. Steph was up and coming. Draymond, Iguodala. Uh, so he deserves a lot of credit for changing that mentality. So, we did John Stockton a couple of weeks ago, and he had eye-popping numbers. So when it comes to accolades, Mark Jackson really, uh, you have to appreciate when he played and the other point guards in the league. But he even though when I list off the accolades, he doesn't have many, but everybody knows him. He was a solid point guard. So his career stats was 9.6 points a game, 3.8 rebounds a game, and 8 assists a game. When we talked about John Stockton averaged more points, less rebounds, and only 2 assists per game. This is over their career. 17 seasons, he earned 40 million.
Mm.
I mean, nowadays, if a John Morant who's fading quickly, he's making 40 million in 1 year. So over 17 seasons, he only made 40 million. He was rookie of the year in 1987-88. Let that sink in. 87 and 88. That was the Bad Boys and Isaiah Thomas years. That was
Mm-hmm.
Magic Johnson going to the NBA Finals. That was Danny Ainge and Larry Bird and McHale and Parrish, Boston. That was uh, Michael Jordan about 3 or 4 years into the league. So uh, surprisingly, he got traded for Jalen Rose. I was looking up all the trades but he was rookie of the year in 87, 88. 6 times he got voting shares to be on a all NBA team, but he never made it all NBA. 2 times he had MVP voting shares. He never won an MVP.
Mm.
He only made one All-Star. One. For as good as he played. 96, 97, he led the league in assists at 11.4 assists a game. Stockton was still in the league. 96, 97, he led the league in assists. Here's the big one. 4 times he led Indiana Pacers to the Eastern Conference Finals. And one of those times they broke through in the finals and lost to the Lakers.
Yeah, that's when they had Big Rick Smith. Because I remember that.
If Rick Smith was still on that team?
I think so when they went to the, was he? Because yeah, I think a Shaq was dominating him, I believe.
I'd have to look up the year. I think it was 99, 2000 when I remember scrolling through. Reggie, I think Reggie Miller was on that team, but he took 4 of them to the Eastern Conference Finals. 3 years in a row he took them, and then it was a few years later he took them to the finals. So we were talking earlier about point guards that can take you to a championship. You know, he don't have eye-popping numbers or eye-popping accolades, but he obviously did something as the glue of the team to take them to 4 Eastern Conference Finals. That's the East was he had Detroit, New York, uh, Miami was still pretty good then. They had Grandmama and Lonzo. I don't know, it was before Lonzo. Well, about that time was Lonzo Mourning. uh, you had the Bulls. I
Mm.
mean, the East was loaded during that time when he was at Indiana. And you had AI in Philadelphia. So, quite a bit of competition he played against. But it's kind of like Troy Aikman. Kids nowadays know more about Troy Aikman as an announcer than they do as a quarterback. So people know more about Mark Jackson as an announcer than a player. But I like the guy. He was tough as nails.
Yeah, I don't think because I'm looking through all the championships of the '90s, and Indiana's not showing up at all. Looking through it, maybe there's the 2000s. Let's
Like,
see.
give me a second, and I'll look.
Oh yeah, it was. It's the 2000s. So they went to the finals in the 2000s against the Lakers, as you said. Let's see. It doesn't show who was. Who was on that squad? And a quick note, guys, and we talked about this guy some time ago. He was drafted by Golden State, and it was one of the draft picks that Mark Jackson picked, and that was the famous Jeremy Lin. Jeremy Lin was drafted by the Golden State Warriors out of Harvard, man, and that was one of his first draft picks.
Okay,
That's
so it was the 99 2000 Indiana Pacers. Larry Bird was the coach. Donnie Walsh was the executive. Here's the lineup. Jonathan Bender, Travis Best, Austin Crozier,
mhm,
Dale Davis, Jeff Foster, Al Harrington, Mark Jackson, Derek McKee, Reggie Miller, Chris Mullins, Sam Perkins, Jalen Rose, Rick Smits, and
mhm,
Dan about.
yeah. And the most interesting person on that squad to me was Derek McKee because he could hoop. Reggie having Mark Jackson really helping out Reggie Miller, and there is a couple of games where Reggie scored over 30 in that series, so he was still cooping in the early 2000s, man.
And a Chris Mullins who could fill it up. An older Chris Mullins, but he could fill it up. He's only 2 years younger than or older than Reggie Miller. And Jalen Rose was a pretty good guard coming from Michigan.
And you already know I know everything about Michigan.
And Travis Best was a pretty good point guard out of Texas. I
Yeah,
mean,
but he didn't really excel the way I thought he would have when he came out of college.
and then Dale Davis was known as a rebounder. His son is playing for Golden State now. And Austin Crow Spare, as we called him when the Mavs got him. But Crozier was a decent, shooter, wing player. I mean, it was not a bad team, but you're talking about the 99, 2000 first of the three-peat Kobe Bryant Shaq era.
hmm What is the most memorable thing you would have in the back of your mind regarding Mark Jackson? What are some of the things that you would think if you just besides his commentating, what are some of the most memorable things that he can just flat out say, yeah, that kind of reminds me of Mark Jackson.
When I watch CP3 and how he sets up the shot, doesn't necessarily take the shot first, but sets the table for everybody else. That's that's kind of what I think of Mark Jackson. You
Mm,
couldn't bully him. He was pretty decent on defense. He didn't make an all defensive team, but uh, he didn't get bullied. He was just as tough as nails. He was kind of a Derek Harper type in a way,
mm,
without the scoring. But he was CP3's kind of the not the CP3 that just got canned by the Clippers, but the CP3 of Houston Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder and the Pelicans, the first Clippers. You know, CP3 was known on the State Farm commercials, but CP3 was just a solid player. He looked like Kevin Johnson. He looked for to get somebody else the ball and score first before they looked for their own shot.
yeah. No, I like his game. He was more of when you think of a sergeant, him and Avery Johnson remind me of each other. Mark Jackson and Avery Johnson.
Yeah, it's a
Mark,
good comp.
yeah, yeah. And Mark's been in not he's the, had a, haven't had a starring role in a couple of movies, but if you look at the movie Eddie, which is Whoopi Goldberg. You have Air Bud, and you have Hustle with Adam Sandler. He's been in quite a few films that just having some cameo roles. So if you want to just check him out on that level, check him out.
Yeah,
Any-
I liked watching him because he was sound.
Yeah. And he's real smart when it comes to commentating. He knows the game. And I wish he would have had an opportunity to I wanted to see how far he could have took that Golden State team back in 2011, 2014. Do you think he would have took him to the championship or no?
I think he got him close. Steve Kerr added an extra element, Phil Jackson and Popovich, playing with the Bulls and winning rings with Popovich with the Spurs. And he brought an element. Jackson brought the toughness, but Kerr brought that extra element from the championship pedigree caliber that I don't know if Mark Jackson could have pulled that out of the players that Steve Kerr has. But,
Mm,
Steve Kerr's had some great assistant coaches that have gone on to be head coaches too.
yeah,
So he's had help.
gotcha. Well, it's been a really good conversation. I mean, I really wanted to talk more Mavs too. We talked a lot about AD. We talked a lot about Cooper Flagg, the guards that the Mavs got, and then we ended up talking about Giannis, and then we topped it off with Mark Jackson. It's been a great show, man. Boogie Bob, you did a great job today, man. I want to just give you your applause.
You do an excellent job as well. So
Appreciate you. Oh, wait. You hear the applause? Anyway, we're gonna close it out, man. Tell the people where they can find you on the social media streets, man. Give them your handle so they can catch up with you out there.
you can find me on Swish for real, or you can find me on Boogie Bob.
Boogie Bob, yes, sir. Always right there. From Boogie Bob, man, he's his subscribership is growing. So you guys subscribe to Boogie Bob's channel. Hey, just tell them Switch for real. You heard it here first. And if you're looking for me, I'm always out here on these social media streets, man. I'm getting better. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Switch for real here. I'm on X now. I don't know about Facebook yet, but I'm trying to. I haven't been on Facebook in many years, so I wouldn't even know how to start it. But other than that, I'm just here. You can always catch me here on Switch for real, guys. It's been an amazing show, Boogie. Thanks for hopping on. Yo, Switch for real. We are out, guys. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon.
That's it, Pray.